born with her bladder outside her tiny body, living in a Chinese orphanage.
To see what they had been able to do to make her look normal. I'll never forget that.
How a miracle halfway around the world in Seattle saved this little girl's life.
And I'm Steve Rabel. We begin tonight with the story of an orphaned girl born with a rare birth defect that left her bladder on the outside of her body.
Julie Francavilla introduces you to the Redmond couple that traveled halfway around the globe to offer her a new life.
Christmas Day in the city of Suzhou, China, a 5-hour train ride from Shanghai. John and Pamela Block have traveled 5,000 miles from their Redmond, Washington home to adopt 4-year-old Anna Lynn.
So we arrived at the orphanage very late, and we walked into a room that had 2 newspaper reporting groups or teams and a news crew. It seemed to be chaos, and I could tell by Pamela's face she was beginning to wonder, when will we ever meet Anna? Well, suddenly she just appeared in the doorway, and I'll never forget that moment. She immediately melted into Pamela's arms and just started crying. You could tell it was just a huge relief that she had finally met Mama.
Young Anna isn't the first child the Blocks have adopted from the orphanage. 2 years ago, they adopted Lily Mae, who was abandoned on a gurney in the emergency room of a hospital with a critical heart condition. She was only 2 months old.
John and I have been married for 6 years. We have previous children, grown children from our previous marriages. And I had approached John a couple of years ago and said that, you know, our marriage is very strong. We have a beautiful bond, and more than anything, I would love to raise a child with him.
The Blocks adopted Lily in 2008, but have no intention of adopting another child until they're approached by several families supporting the orphanage. Through emails, blogs, and the Suzhou Orphanage website, they learn about a special girl who has been waiting to be adopted for 2 years, a girl with special needs.
This little girl kept appearing in all these pictures. She was always labeled on the picture, you know, cute little girl or pretty little girl, and we all wondered who her family was. We'd found out that she indeed didn't have a family. There was always Anna, you know, sitting in a chair against the wall, waiting for her turn.
Abandoned at this train station when she was just 2 years old, Anna Lynn has a rare congenital birth defect called bladder exstrophy. Her pelvis is not formed correctly. Her bladder rests on the outside of her body. For 2 years, she waits in an orphanage, waiting for her turn. There are very few doctors anywhere in the world, and none in China, that can successfully operate on such conditions. One of them happens to live in Seattle, Dr. Richard Grady of Seattle Children's Hospital.
Bladder exstrophy is a condition that occurs about 1 out of every 50,000 live births. For these children, the bladder is completely exposed. The bony pelvis that normally kind of holds us together is opened up as well. So you really have this the bladder essentially being entirely outside the body. This is a condition that is imminently surgically reconstructable. So I encourage them. I said it's definitely worth adopting or bringing over here.
Anna, who is this? This is Mama. This is Papa. This is Anna. This is Lilia.
Once they make it back to their Redmond home, the waiting process begins. It's January 28th, and Anna will have to wait another 6 weeks before she's ready for surgery.
Everybody's coming.
Feeling comfortable in her new surroundings is not a problem for Anna, but the uncertainty of what the future holds is a bit unnerving for John and Pamela.
Dr. Grady said that we have one shot, and these surgeries are normally done at birth or 2 or 3 days after birth. And we have 2 things going against us. One is that she's 4, and the older they are, the less successful the surgical outcome can be. And the second is that because someone tried to do something in China, we don't know what we're facing.
On the morning of March 11th, Dr. Richard Grady orchestrates 12 hours of surgery that could forever change Anna's life. The team of surgeons at Children's Hospital successfully reconstruct Anna's pelvis and urethra. Her bladder is moved to where it belongs. From now on, she'll have to empty her bladder through a catheter placed in her belly button, but she won't have to wear diapers the rest of her life. The surgeons make another critical change in Anna's body.
There was no indication of any female genitalia at all when we picked her up. And so that was the next step to bring in plastic surgeons and Dr. Grady's team to build female parts so that she would look like a normal child. The moment for me on the day of the surgery is when they brought her out of surgery, and the first time that they changed her diaper and they pulled the diaper down. Sorry. She looked like a little girl. And I knew what that would mean to her in her life. And I was blown away. Because when we picked her up from China at the orphanage the first time, and we took her back to the hotel and changed her diaper, and saw all this, what this poor little girl had to live with, it was like she had been mutilated. And to see what they had been able to do to make her look normal, I'll never forget that.
What are you doing?
May 28th. It's been 10 weeks since surgery, and Anna is back home playing with her sister Lily.
Where's the blue? Where's the blue? Do you guys have any blue?
I have blue.
You have some blue?
Anna is no longer hunchback. Her walking has improved, and she's learning how to catheterize herself.
She's doing incredibly well. If you didn't know she'd just gone through this, you couldn't tell. I think she's embraced it, and again, too, as John says, I think she's so happy to have her body normal and not feeling the pain.
So since the surgery, what differences have you noticed in Anna's life?
Last weekend, we were at the neighborhood playground, and for the first time I saw Anna going down the slide. At one point, she went down on her tummy, and it occurred to me, before her surgery, she wouldn't even have thought about going down on her tummy, because here's this poor child with an organ on the outside of her body that was extremely sensitive. And she went down that slide on her tummy, giggling the whole way down, and you know, it's just so, it brings you so much joy to see that.
Doctors say it could be 6 months to a year before they really know how well Anna is doing, and even several years after that before they can assess how well she is able to urinate on her own. But time is on her side. In the meantime, both doctor and parents reflect on the opportunity they've been given to literally transform the life of this little girl.
Oh, I can tell you, I take incredible satisfaction in knowing, especially when things go well, that we've taken a child who essentially was crippled by their condition. The fact that Anna can go out and play and be as much like any other kid out there is hugely satisfying to me.
I feel very good about the fact that we'll be able to help these children live normal lives. You know, I'm getting to the age now where you begin to look back on your life and you say, what have I really given back? And you go, you know, I didn't give back a lot. So I see this as an opportunity to give something back.
The Blocks are part of an advocacy group for children in need of adoption. They help place around 2 children a month into loving homes. And you can find out more information about the work they are doing on our website, KIROTV.com.